Welcome back to our complete, extremely exhaustive coverage of the NHL playoffs. It's the first round. Check out the two previous videos we did featuring the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche and Dallas Stars. But right now, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild squeaking into the playoffs to play the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, a few seconds before we push the record button on here, we realized once again that in this video game from 2003 that we're playing, the Vegas Golden Knights were not a team.
No, they were not. They were not even a thought.
Yeah, so we had to get a little creative with what to pick. But this custom team by the name of the Templars looks roughly in the ballpark. He's got a shield there. He's basically a knight. I think this works.
You could throw that emblem on the Henderson Silver Knights and no one would blink.
That's true. It's a much more 90s look of the Silverstone Hender Knights is almost what I said.
Silverstone Hender
The Silverstone Hender Knights. That sounds like something Jeremy Clarkson would say. Anyway, select your Minnesota Wild and let's see what players we actually have available.
Do I have to play the Wild?
You do. We agreed to it.
Marion Gaborik.
Okay, yep. That's something.
I think this guy's first name, I think it's Andrew Brunette. That's all I have. That's all I have.
Well, you got to pick somebody. Who?
I don't know who.
You have Dwayne Rollison. There you go. 61 overall, Dwayne Rollison.
We're not doing that.
All right. Oh, my team is actual Knights. This is great. Gregor, Lancelot, Galahad. I feel like I should not pick the ridiculously statted up Galahad here because that's probably going to be unfair. So let's go with the Black Knight at center.
I mean, to be fair, Vegas always goes for the shiniest, best toy. And so I think you need to just channel the spirit. Like, what is it?
Brave Sir Galahad, let's go. And then Lancelot on defense. Why not?
Maxim.
I only have one goalie option, and it is Maxim. Okay, well.
Oh my God.
All right, this is fantastic. I'm already here for it. The only thing that's missing is they're not gold, they're silver. But as we already mentioned, the Silverstone Hender Knights are indeed silver, so we'll make it work here. The Vegas Golden Knights, the Minnesota Wild, tale of two extremely different teams here. We're going to start with the Vegas Golden Knights being the home team. Vegas, the team that just doesn't seem to go away, even though most of us around the league wish that they would go away. Now, I had the pleasure of being able to see the Vegas Golden Knights play in person last week. It was their final home game of the season. They were playing the Nashville Predators. I happened to be in Vegas at the time, so why not spend a ridiculous amount of money to go see that team play? I got to say, first of all, not related to the sport at all, Vegas may have the most fun atmosphere of any NHL arena. I'll throw that out there, but I need to visit a few more to make sure that I can have a good data set to pull from. But let's talk about the actual Vegas Golden Knights at this point and their ability to, like I said, just kind of stick around. They have been consistently good for a while. As you alluded to, they're pretty cutthroat when it comes to building their team. Their management is not afraid of tossing someone to the side when they're done playing with that metaphorical toy and just saying, we can spend a little bit less money, get somebody that's better, give you the middle finger, and yet they keep on winning. Are they the new Boston Bruins to where everybody just kind of sick of seeing them in the playoffs at this point?
I definitely could see that happening. I think they are not quite as annoying as the Bruins, I'd say, yet. Where you have, Marchand, or at least you did have Marchand, and Bergeron and Krejci and defenseman. One I'm thinking of, Lucic.
Yes.
I'm thinking of. You just have the Bruins who are just going to bully you. The Knights really don't do that. The Knights are far more skilled than that. But yes, there is a hint of, will you please just go away for at least a year? Like, you not making the playoffs once was not enough.
But you know which Bruin the Golden Knights do have? Bruce Cassidy.
That is true.
Now, I think he's had tremendous success here. Really, any coach that has gone into Vegas has had tremendous success, including Peter DeBoer. He never got the job done. But Vegas is kind of an easy one to step into. Let's talk about the revived career of a few pieces. Jack Eichel finally made his way out of Buffalo. Showed he was the player that we always thought that he was, but the Buffalo system just kind of sucks. Noah Hannafin, same deal in Calgary, but Calgary has been at least a little bit competitive as of late. who was it that was it Timo Meyer? No, he went to
Thomas
New Jersey.
Hurdle.
Yes, Tomas Hurdle coming over from the San Jose Sharks, another just historically kind of team. And they've all found a home here in Vegas. This collection of broken toys, or at least severely underpaid and underutilized toys. We haven't even mentioned how good they actually are as a team, and we're almost done with this period. What stands out to you about the Vegas Golden Knights when you watch them play?
I think an underrated portion is their. Wait, did I squint?
You did.
Oh, I did. It was very unceremonious. But to me, it's kind of their defense. Their defense is a little underrated, I think, especially when you get deeper in. But you have guys like Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin. Like that's kind of underrated, especially because hasn't Theodore been like injured this year or a good chunk of this year?
Yep.
And he's shown in his games back that he is still pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think defense is kind of where they're going to be a little underrated. Also, goaltending to an extent. Aiden Hill's still good. They have I don't know if I'd call Samsonov better than Logan Thompson as a backup.
I wouldn't.
Samsonov is just so streaky.
Yes.
But Thompson is by far the more consistent one, but I think better highs and lower lows for Samsonov.
But you could also make an argument that Samsonov fits into that motif of coming from broken systems and his most recent foray with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I would agree.
You hit the nail on the head. The Golden Knights defensemen are, in my opinion, some of the best shot blockers in the entire league.
Yeah.
I mean, Shea Theodore, Alec Pietrangelo, Nicholas Waugh, you can run down basically that entire top six in your defense structure and say, yeah, any of you can play on the penalty kill. Any of you can play on the power play. I innately trust all of you, but it does actually lead me to their special teams looks kind of right now. When I watched them play against Nashville, I was not impressed by anything I saw, particularly on the PK. So if there's a question mark I have about the Golden Knights, I think it's that.
Yeah, and special teams can win and lose series. Plenty of examples of it, but yeah, I think you're right there. That's simply their Achilles heel.
It often does. On the other end of the ice, you have the Minnesota Wild, who have successfully navigated the dead contracts of Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. Thank you. I blanked on his name. I kept wanting to say Pew Suter. I'm like, nope, that's a different guy. We all thought they were dead in the water. We thought that they needed to win as soon as those dead contracts happened. We thought it was time for Kirill Kaprizov. He was going to have to carry the team. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, guess what? They're sticking around. Philip Gustafsson, another goalie that you could easily slot into the top 10. But let's not forget that they have a very aged Marc-Andre Fleury who got win number 594. Absolutely ridiculous career, multiple cups. You can't say enough good things about Marc-Andre Fleury. I feel like this is a guy that would probably, you go to his house and he was, hey, you can stay for an extra couple of days. He would give you the friends and family discount on the Airbnb, but that's not related to hockey at all. Let's talk about the Minnesota Wild as a whole. Very scrappy team that had to scrap and claw and fight their way into a playoff position this year in a West that was otherwise kind of unceremonious, kind of unexciting, and yet here they are. What do you think gives Minnesota the best possible chance to win in this, what I think many people are calling the most foregone conclusion series of the first round?
I think compared to a lot of other superstars, I think Kaprizov is still quite underrated just because he's had to carry and there hasn't been a lot around him. But now that they do have a little bit more around him, I think that's something that can definitely push him. And then goaltending. Gustafsson's played out of his mind. And then, again, if something happens where he falters, I don't see how Gustafsson doesn't start. But you have Marc-Andre Fleury, who has, maybe the most playoff experience of any goalie of all time.
I don't know
the stats, but it's got to be up there.
If not number one, he's top 5. He has to be. We'll look that up later. Future Sammy, please put it in the video. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, I think they have some underrated talents, but yeah, it's been very scrappy. There's a lot of guys that had to step up that really haven't sometimes on other teams, and then you have guys like Joel Eriksson Ek who are kind of coming into their own. You hit my goalie.
He deserved it. The Black Knight apparently does not always triumph.
Apparently not.
So let's make a quick mention of the Minnesota Wild from a defensive standpoint, because Philip Gustafson has had to stand on his head the entire season. This is another one of those scenarios where you have to wonder who is going to step up for this team in the extremely likely event that Gustafson is going to give away a couple of games, or he's going to lose the goaltending battle to Aiden Hill. Who would you look to bolster that blue line to help them along the way and maybe stealing 1 or 2 games against Vegas?
I will admit my knowledge of the Wild is not the best. Is their top pair still Brodin and? I cannot.
That's fine.
remember
You can
that
just say
name.
Brody and we'll move on.
Yeah, Brodin. That's fine. I admittedly not as knowledgeable about the Wild because I haven't had to think about them for a long time in our division. So
None of us have. The Minnesota Wild is a team that I wish, like, I want to root for because I haven't seen them be good in a very long time. I put them in the same category as the San Jose Sharks. I want you to do so much better than you actually are. Please give me an underdog to root for in your
let me
division.
love you.
Because the Central for a very long time has been the same 4 teams. It's been Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, and usually St. Louis. So I'm ready for something new. This year I was hoping it was going to be Nashville, but we can talk about that in a different video. But
That's a rant.
oh, is it ever a rant? Let's move on to prediction time here. Most people that I have seen, be they experts or content creators, whatever, nobody is really giving the Minnesota Wild a chance. But I'll start with you, let you speak your piece. Do the Wild have a chance? What's your result here in this series?
My guess is gentleman's sweep. I think it's the Knights in 5. I think if I had to pick a game the Wild get, I'm going to think it's their first elimination game. So I think they win game 4. And then I think Vegas just dominates and closes it out. I like you said, I don't know if there's a more like foregone series on paper than this, because like both teams are very scrappy, but one of them has had to scrap, the other one just does.
Right.
So there's a very distinct advantage of being able to versus having to.
Yep. I don't disagree with you at all. And like, look, I love to give credit where credit's due, and so much credit goes to the Minnesota Wild for putting on the show that they did, and very last game of the season clinching that playoff spot, and special spot in my heart because they brought Marc-Andre Fleury in overtime to get that final regular season win of his career. Wouldn't it just be storybook for that man to win another Stanley Cup? And he's not the only person that I'm saying that about in these playoffs. So
Absolutely.
I unfortunately will have to be choosy about who gets the real storybook ending here. But
I don't know what I just did there, but okay.
I tend to agree with you. I think there are no bad teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're just not.
No.
The only time that you could ever make that argument was during
The bubble.
Not even the bubble. It was the season after that where they did the division realignment.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And you had a play-in round for the first. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And at that point, yes, I can argue there were some bad teams that made the playoffs, but there are no bad teams in these playoffs right now. There are good teams, and then there are cup contending teams. And Minnesota, I fear, is a good team that has a lot of potential to do things in the probably not too distant future. But Vegas is just they're
Vegas.
They're Vegas.
They're Vegas.
Baby. And I hate that I say that, but I know it'll make our friend Todd very happy. We're both picking the Golden Knights here. I didn't even give games, but I also think it's going to be a 5-game. I think it's so much harder to get an actual sweep in these playoffs. So Minnesota's going to take a game. They're going to get a home game, and that's it. The clock will strike midnight on them. Sorry, better luck next year, but take heart, everybody. I'm not picking Vegas to go much farther than this.
Just Wild. Just build around Kaprizov. Just do it.
Yep.
Like, commit to it. Get depth. You have goalie now. You have Gustafson. I don't know how long his contract is. However long it is, make it longer and just go from there.
Yep. Minnesota Wild show a lot of promise here in the future. It's another team that I could see myself rooting for in the West in general, definitely in the Central. But as far as these playoffs are concerned, I think it's another first-round exit for them. Sorry, Minnesota. We gotta call him back as the Emir. Don't know why I brought my Trump voice out for that one, but
Yeah, I'm not. I just don't ask at this point anymore.
All right, we're both taking the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games on this one. We've agreed on winners for the first 3 series here.
I think the West is like going to be much easier. Like we're going to disagree a lot in the East.
The West is boring.
There is not a lot. Like there's been way more parity in the East than there has in the West,
West is boring.
especially this year.
But anyway, that's video number 3 for us. The other 2, actually all 8 at this point, will be down in the description. If you want to check out the series for your favorite team or just see whatever nonsense we happen to be spewing about a series, go click the links down there. But see you in the next one.